Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Ninjago movie Ninjago City set, and with over 4,800 pieces, it is one of the most complex sets that LEGO has ever officially released. It is based around just a single 32 by 32 base plate, like a regular modular building from the creator line, but it's extended out a little bit on the sides, and it is rather tall. It has a minimum of 5 levels, 5 distinct levels. It depends on how and exactly where you count those levels. You can see it being 5.5, 6. You could also kind of see it being 4.5, depending upon how exactly you take this apart. But you can put minifigs at this level, this level, this level, this level here, and then you have a roof level as well. And there's also a floor to this part of the building over here, and things go up a little bit higher beyond that. The entire thing comes apart into 3 major sections, with the old city, the modern one, and then the high-rise, the rooftop level. Within that, there are then additional smaller sections that can be separated out to give you even better access, or to get to some of the kind of in-between levels. Notice around the back, it's kind of hollowed out, so the entire thing in cross section basically has an L shape to it. So all the camera friendly angles from the front that you usually see show you the grandest bulk and the largest size of everything, but around the back it's all open up. But they at least do have full walls covering everything, so nothing is opened up in kind of a dollhouse style, and they do actually have some access for minifigs to come around here and to play in this space, in addition to an elevator that allows a single minifigure to go from the very bottom, from the very lowest level, all the way up to the very highest rooftop level, and that's completely manual. There is no mechanism to work with that. Since I'm already back here, this is actually an interesting place to start with a closer look, because it really illustrates just how much effort and love really was put into building this thing, that around the back, where you don't get most of the photos that are used to help sell the thing, there's a lot that has been done, even down to the point of having this canal that can be navigated just barely by this small boat. I'll show you that in more detail later on, but this also, beneath it, has a full layer of plates that were alternated with colors. So we've got black going down the center, dark green around the edges, and then even moving into some regular green and some lime green in some sections to give you a sense of depth. Like you can see that, you know, there's a gradient along the sides to make it look like there's more there than there really is. And the whole thing is completely tiled over with trans light blue tiles. They've got nice detailing around the sides even, and sidewalks that can be accessed by the figures, plenty of space for those, and then even access to some of the buildings from the back. This first section over on the left is actually a charging station for Sweep, the maintenance robot. I'll show you the interiors in a minute, but look at this. You've got a fish market over there with a really interesting technique that's used for its awning, which is done with a ton of black crowbars that just very nicely can be kind of curved around. And there's also kind of a balcony for the upstairs small restaurant above that. And you can even see a little bit of detail on the bridge from the other side. There is so much signage all over this build that I had to give up on my idea of giving you translations of every single sign, because it was going to almost double the length of this video that's already long as it is. Most of the decorations that you see are stickers. There are almost 60 of them, or right around 60 of them, but there are some prints that I will point out, and some of the prints are pretty interesting. There's just one of this piece right here, which is a classic inspired arrow part, which has been available in a similar form many years before. I'll point out other little interesting things along the way, such as the recolored paint palettes in just plain green that make wonderful, interesting looking little lily pads there. LEGO had previously made some really cool looking lily pads in Minecraft sets using the quarter round tile pieces, such as the part that's used right there, that exact same one. You use 4 of those in a nice arrangement. It looks good, but they've introduced another color anyway of other part that does a very nice job of providing some interesting detail. There's just so much interesting texture all throughout this. They don't go boring. They don't go lazy anywhere. They keep changing the shapes and the builds, and that really contributed to an enjoyable build experience, even though it took me about 10 hours to build this thing, not including any breaks. I didn't count any of that, just the actual time spent building this, 10 hours. And I didn't get bored, I didn't get annoyed by it at any time, because things just keep changing. You keep seeing new parts, new types of assemblies. You know, each of the individual shops and such is just a small build that is really compact, and you really get done with it fairly quickly. Even the terrain is pretty varied once you get past putting the tiles on for just the water. This is supposed to be Ninjago City's only public telephone right there, and it uses the train bogie side piece in dark brown. We've actually gotten that previously, but just a nice little bit of detail there. This is a new railing piece or banister piece that's in a couple of sets for this season, but it just looks really good, repeats very nicely. And you know, a little bit of kind of window detail around this side, but for the most part, most of what's actually built here has to be seen from the inside, so you have to start peeling some layers off. But you can open up, like this is a sliding rice paper style door there. And I mean, even this, I mean, you know, the fact that this is a different type of post than the one at this corner, I mean, significantly different. And it contributes to structure a bit, though it's not absolutely critical. Let me go ahead and take off a layer of this thing and show you some of the interiors. There's not too much to be seen here, with first the charging area for Sweep. It basically just has a dock for him and also a couple of clips on the wall where he can put his couple of accessories, and he just gets electrical power coming in from the side. So basically while he's standing there, he gets charged up. And then there's no additional interior detail for the fish market, just space for a couple of figures to be used in there. But this gives you a better look at the crowbar system that they use here, which places actually the hooks of the crowbars onto a hard bar, but then the bar in the front that's kind of setting the angle is a flexible piece, a tube piece. So that's how it becomes very easy for you to create this nice little curvature there if you want to, or you could just make it straight. Above that is what I call the small restaurant, although it's probably just a tea shop, and it also has a rice paper door, different style of awning. And inside is a classy piano black table with a couple of cups, a teapot, and then there's a painting on the wall back there. The coolest thing in here to me is the recolor of Sabine Wren's hairpiece from Star Wars Rebels that has been made into just a plain bright green color to use it as foliage for a little topiary in the corner. Very clever. Across from that is just a small apartment, and that includes some of the eaves for itself and also the level below. There are some solar panels for charging up Sweep there. This is its own small module and doesn't have too much detail inside of it, but it's cool. It's got just a little place to sleep and a small drawer set, and also a TV in the corner, which is showing Good Day Ninjago, not Good Morning America. The next level up is a lot more complex, and there's a lot more floor space that the designers were able to work with, and as a result there's a lot more to see and a lot more to do, starting with the comic book shop. More specifically, let's just start with the sign, which makes a clever use of the Marvel superhero's white tiger headpiece that's just attached on the side, and it introduces this 1x1 plate in white with the black rectangle print on the side to give you some different shapes. Now actually every single 1x1 plate that's used here, even these horizontal ones, those are all printed pieces that have the same black rectangle, and they just have you turn them around in different ways to either show or not show the print, so you get a bunch of extras, which is really nice for folks who want to do custom signs. I also personally really appreciate the availability of the corner 1/4 round tile, here used in black, and they've of course got it in many other colors, but this is the first time we've had a 1x1 sized piece that allows you to create kind of a door handle that can be opened to the inside with these standard door pieces, because you can't just put a round tile there or a square one. This build has an interesting way that it can be partially taken apart. This isn't really like an attic or anything, it's just an upper section of the single floor store itself, which has some decorative items up there of various types, and taking this off makes it a lot easier to get access to the main floor itself and to put figures in there. This is a very compact space which has just barely enough room for the employee to stand behind a checkout counter, but I love the inclusion of 6 different colors of unprinted nano figures representing action figures there. You've got them in the dark red, sand green, white, black down at the base, dark gray, and dark blue. And as usual, when they include those in a set, they give you an extra. So you get 1 extra of each 6 spare nano figures that are included here. I was kind of geeking out over that when I first saw it. These are actually printed. That's a 2x2 printed tile just attached to a 2x2 plate behind it, 4 of those. And against the side wall is a display of collectible trading cards. Thankfully, that whole stand is easy to remove, and these all use stickers with references to a bunch of different LEGO themes. In my opinion, this is one of the better looking ATM builds that LEGO has ever produced, and it even has a working feature where it will dispense $100 bills or 100 unit bills, up to 11 of those. The mechanism around the back is a little bit bulky, but it's fairly well hidden away in this kind of alleyway between 2 shops. The front of the ATM can be removed easily to let you refill the stack of bills, and the way the mechanism works is basically the ATM face kind of holds back those bills while a 1 stud wide tile piece just pushes one through the slot, one at a time. Next up is a crab bar, which has some Tobiko styled decorations on the sides and a brick built crab there in the center with some slightly posable pincers that you could move around if you want to give it a little different personality, make it look at you. There's that same piece used again to give you a nice door handle, although this door actually opens out, so it's not a necessity. It's just there for the looks, and this looks pretty much the same on either side. Inside are 3 simple chairs for customers to sit at using the newer 2x2 modified tiles with just 2 studs. And behind the counter are some of the secret seasonings that this chef uses, as well as tools of the trade used for especially tough crab. By far the most important thing here, though, is the grill, and also the inclusion of the new tan color for crab. And if you've ever cooked crustaceans, you know that their shells gain color when you cook them. So there you go. Magic little swapping that they do. They actually have both of those crabs in there, and they just flip them from one to the other. It's a really nice mechanism that's built in, very slick and sleek. Always works. I've used this a bunch and I've not gotten it stuck. The actuator is on the back of the building, and it's really simple and foolproof. One last thing for me to show you on this level is the poster for the Shadow of Ronin, is what it says there. Upcoming movie. It says Ninjago on the right, but there's also this sign here which says film, and if you push that, there's a door over on the side which gives you access to some additional poster options. So here's one that says tired of walking, and then cars for 40,000. Here's Galador coming soon, and this one is Return of the Brick Separator, a little ongoing reference that I guess they will continue for many years. The funny thing here to me is that it's rated for 18 and up. Oh, and while I'm here, let me show you a new part. This small black piece used here. This little thing blew my mind. It's basically a stud with a bar sticking out on the side. On the underside, it's just an anti-stud, but at the tip of the bar section of it has a mini peg style hole, which can accept accessories like this. Just an incredibly useful little piece. Next level. This is just a decorative element here. Looks pretty, but doesn't do anything. Also, there's nothing inside there. It just has the elevator on the other side. And then we move to another store. This one has a lot of window space, so you can see in very clearly. This is an especially nice, very large, curved, clear panel piece that we've not gotten many times. This store has a lot of hats in it in particular, and it also includes a couple of the full training gi. So if you want to use one of those or both of them with some of your ninja to help complete the training set, you can. Inside this shop has a lot of empty space, which makes it easy to get figures in there and pose them around, so you can have a lot of different shoppers. But because of the empty space and because of the windows, there's not a lot really to show you here that you didn't already see from the outside. I'm assuming that these are supposed to all represent just folded up clothes to go with that outfit that are, just on shelves there. I like the display for the skateboard. They've got a bunch of hats in the middle there, but those are all in the same color. Looks like all the phones that they're selling over here are from the same brand as well. Looks like more folded up clothes in a different color. On this side, there was one thing that you couldn't see at all from the outside. It's the heart-shaped gem there that's available for sale, or whatever that's supposed to represent. Maybe just a little display item or a paperweight or something. And here's yet another Lego theme reference with M-Tron. Around the back there's access from where the elevator comes up, so this is a normal door, just a different way to get in. And this is also a ladder which goes up to a higher level. But there's yet another door to get into this place, and it's barred off. You can see it just back there. It's barred off because there's no bridge, there's no way to actually get across to this next section, because the next section was never finished. It was under construction and just was never completed at all. So it actually ended up having a seed of a cherry tree that took root inside of there and started growing in the building. So all of this is just growing out of the building. It wasn't intentionally planted there, but I'm glad that it did grow because it sure looks nice, and you can kind of change the pose of this around. This also introduces a fantastic recolor with the flower stem piece there done in dark brown. That's going to be so very useful for a lot of custom foliage and other things as well. I also really like the look of this style of roof overhang, which is all built upside down. That same style is used again one level up outside of Misako and Lloyd's apartment, which also has some decorations around this side, and those are done with stickers. This apartment is difficult to see inside because it's so compact, but it does have a good level of detail within it. There's a seat there, it looks like a dresser or a set of drawers. I think this is supposed to be a microwave up above. They've got a small TV there that's once again showing Good Day Ninjago that's about to come on. A bunch of stuff over here with a bookcase, a bunch of stuff stacked up, some small decorative items there. And this has a bunk bed set up. You can place minifigures at the base and the top. Misako sleeps down below. Lloyd sleeps up above. You can remove one of these to get better access. And you see she has a photograph next to her bed that's memorable to her. That's actually a sticker that's on a small window pane. So here's what that looks like from the other side. It's a tan piece, a new color. Meanwhile, Lloyd gets an Enter the Dragon movie poster next to his bed. The letters there do say ED, and that's kind of a deep reference to the career of Jackie Chan and his connection to Enter the Dragon, the movie, and also to the Lego Ninjago movie, of course. If you think I just made a mistake there and confused Bruce Lee for Jackie Chan, I did not. Look it up. One last component of this apartment to show is the topmost roof section, which has a satellite dish and also kind of an attic area where Lloyd stores his Green Ninja gi. Finally, we get to the uppermost levels. Around the outside, this uses more different roofing styles and also introduces some more different decorations. This built-up squid design is pretty out of control. It uses a couple of recolored small catapult pieces in medium azure and then a lot of pieces in dark azure as well. That just looks great to me, and it's a very clever build. A difficult build was the puffer fish. It was one of the more difficult things actually to assemble in this entire set, interestingly. You just have to get everything aligned perfectly, and you kind of have to go back and forth a number of times just to get all these plate dish pieces to line up as best they can, to stay together as best they can. I think the end result is pretty cool looking. I wish it was a little bit more covered up with fewer gaps, but it was still a very advanced design, and I certainly couldn't have done any better myself. This is a rooftop sushi restaurant up here, which uses some nice compact, kind of modern looking chairs and tables, plenty of room for a lot of customers. And it has the all-important sushi boat train that goes around. A nice little build, a nice mechanism. It's kind of tall, you know, it really goes down pretty deep, much deeper than it appears right here, but it works pretty well. Every once in a while things get a little bit stuck in some places, but you just kind of move it back and forth and it'll tend to get itself a little bit unstuck. It's not perfect by any means. Most of the time it works. Sometimes it'll just want to stay in one spot, just kind of go back and forth a few times and it'll kind of work itself out. But the whole thing looks pretty nice, and I think it would look even better if you were to add in some more dishes that looked even different. Behind there is the bathroom, but before I show you the interior of that, I want to show you something else. This is a little hiding spot for a disguise with a chef's hat and a mustache. That's to turn the crab guy into the sushi chef. The bathroom has a couple of the rice paper printed pieces on the back to let some diffuse light come in. Has a Japanese style toilet over here, and on the opposite side got a very nice sink and an air freshener up above. Above everything goes this final decorative flourish, which is a pretty involved assembly with some interesting building techniques used here to create some interesting shapes and textures. Some cool recolored pieces used as well. Nice parts usage in general. Does not look so great from the back because you have all of these undersides of pieces, but it's not too bad. I mean, it kind of looks like it could be an intentional pattern, but at the very worst, it's just, you know, mechanical details of kind of, you know, how the whole thing is built and structured in universe for real. And then there are just some antenna and light assemblies up on the top, and that's kind of inset a bit as it really would be. All that fits snugly right here, and next to it is another antenna tower, which includes another LEGO theme reference. Here's a quick look at the fishing boat that I took out of the scene early on in the video. This was a pretty quick build, but it looks good. It's appropriately scaled. You can put at least a couple of figures on there and or stock it up with some fish that have been caught. I guess that's some sort of fan on the back. I don't know if it's supposed to be air powered or if that's just part of the radiator system for the engine that presumably would be buried down inside of there. There's nothing else really going on inside, but you can kind of see some of the construction of it if you take a couple of those slats up. There are a lot of figures to go through, so here's Casual Lloyd, Casual Kai, not at all casual, fully suited up Jay, and Casual Misako. 16 figures in total in this set. Get a little bit of arm printing for Kai there, and that's on both arms, mirrored from side to side. There are alternate faces for each of these, and also Jay's face was obscured at first, so there's what that one looks like. Here on the far left is Ivy Walker, who I'm assuming is the sister of Jay, but we'll find out. Followed by Severin Black, who is the crab guy, who also moonlights as the sushi chef. The Galador fan is Mother Doomsday. He runs the comic book shop. And on the far right is Tommy. He's based on the son of one of the designers, and the inscription on his torso print says Nemanja, which I believe is the name of the kid he's based on. Ivy Walker's torso print looks just amazing to me. I am a little bit surprised though that they gave her a print for her legs rather than including a cloth piece for that. Probably would have looked a little bit better with cloth because the leg printing is not quite opaque enough. Needs to have more of a bright white. The citizen on the far left here is named Juno. Probably one of the more uninteresting figures here just because she has parts that we've gotten before. Guy with the pink top, on the other hand, has that brand new print. The officer from the super secret police service is Officer Noonan, and on the far right is Sally. Here's a look at the back prints on these, and only one of them gets an alternate face out of the four. On the left here is a Jamaican villager who does not have an official name, but in the middle is a spear fisherman named Conrad. On the far right, another unnamed character, just a generic Shark Army gunner, who's the only bad guy thing in this set at all. So I guess he's just going to be a scout or something. I like how they attached the hat to the back of the fisherman here. Pretty simple. And with some stuff removed, you can see the remainders of the back prints. The last of the figures, unless you count the outfits that have no heads on them that I showed you before, is Sweep, the little maintenance robot, complete with his grabber arm for picking up trash and putting it in the bucket on his back, little backpack there, and he also has his broom. The headpiece is an existing part that was well used here to good effect, and this was just an enjoyable, very small build. Where have I seen a sweeper robot before, though?
Please watch your step, Guardian.
It's a nice, big, fun set with a lot of detail and an incredible price-to-part ratio. But we all pretty much knew that before the thing was released because we've seen pictures of it. What I didn't know myself was how the build was going to go, and I'm very happy that the build was as enjoyable as it was, with so many part recolors and also new parts for 2017 that I want to use in custom stuff. There were no serious frustrations during the build process. The final product makes sense everywhere. I get easy access to get minifigures into places where I want to pose them. There are sensible action and moving features that don't detract at all, that only add while still looking good. There are all the great pieces, lots of very nice building techniques. I really just can't say anything bad about this set. I would like to provide some balance, but I just can't. This really is as good as it looks. It truly lives up to the hype and possibly even surpasses it. I'm practically dumbfounded. I was so impressed by the Destiny's Bounty set, but this is to other large building sets what the Destiny's Bounty is to other previous ships. But then again, that might not be a good analogy because Destiny's Bounty is not one of the largest ship sets of history, whereas this is the largest building. Not counting the Eiffel Tower, which was more of a static display sculpture and wasn't even close to the same class of detail. Really what I'm most puzzled about here is how they were able to release this set at such a low price to part ratio. It's not about licenses because the regular Ninjago sets before the movie were nowhere near this value. And LEGO City tends to have some of the worst price to part ratios. However they managed to pull this off, I am thankful. And on that note, it is time for me to move on to my next video. Hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope to have a chance to talk to you again very soon because my next video is on the way. Bye for now.